So, welcome back. This is kind of a thing I don't really like to say welcome back to, as you already know exactly what it is if you've been here for like longer than a couple days. Gen 6. We're going through all the Pokemon gens, we're going to rank them. This is Gen 6. We have 3 more left because by the time I get the Gen 8 video, Gen 9 will be out. So we do have 3 generations left to do. This is definitely the smallest gen. It's pretty close with Gen 7, but Gen 7 also has the Alolan forms. So yeah, definitely the smallest, as well as it is the first tier list to not use sprites. Because all the other tier lists so far have used the in-game sprites, and this game it is just boring clip art. But I don't really care. I hope you guys don't really care. We're gonna get right into it. So yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a shorter video. Mainly because there's not that many Pokemon to go over. So if you guys by any chance want me to talk about a specific Pokemon I maybe breezed over, just let me know in the comments and I'll probably reply to you, unless I obviously talked about it in the video and you're just being dumb. But that is probably very unlikely. So getting right into it, I'm sure as you could probably see and probably noticed, amazingly enough, there are no Pokemon, not a one, in the bad tier. And I believe, looking at what later gens have to offer, not sure about Gen 9 yet, but at least for Gen 7 and 8, I know that's not going to be the case for those gens. But that does paint Gen 6 in a good picture, because when I was going through it, either the Pokemon were good enough or mediocre enough to pass out of the bad tier. But unfortunately, not all Pokemon ended up not in my liking. I don't really know what I'm going with here, but I'm too lazy to cut, so let's just go. Braixen. Not a fan tier. Braixen. Not really a hot take. Actually, most people would probably put Delphox here. I kind of like Delphox, but we'll get to that in a second. The reason I don't like Braixen is because it's a bit boring. It's just like Fennekin on 2 legs. This is a term that I really, really hate. It's furry bait, and I just don't like using the word. But honestly, that's all I can see with this Pokemon. And redeeming factor of why it's not in the bad tier is I really liked it in the XY anime. I really liked Serena and her Fennekin that eventually turned into Braixen. Wish it turned into Delphox, but that's maybe for another day. And it's a little fun fact, so we don't breeze over the only bad Pokemon in this video. It was actually one of the first Pokemon cards I ever owned. So the Braixen from X and Y base set, which look it up if you want. I don't think it's really that important. It's kind of generic 3D art. Was one of the first ever Pokemon cards I ever got. So Braixen has that going for her, I guess. And now we should get on to the neutral tier, which isn't even the biggest tier. Usually in these videos it is. It's either that or the good tier. And in this video, the good tier took over the neutral tier in terms of the most Pokemon in it. But the most perfect Pokemon to go in the neutral tier are either Pokemon I have no feelings towards, which is a lot of them in here, or ones that I think are just okay. And examples of Pokemon I think are just okay are some of the ones in the top of the section. Pangoro, Avalugg, all those guys, kind of for me, but I can see why people like them. Meanwhile, while Pokemon like Sliggoo, and sure a couple other ones, or like Carbink or something, are just okay, and they don't really have much else going for them. And then there's also Delphox, which I said I would talk about earlier. I just kind of like it because I think it has a cool typing for a starter. Fire Psychic. Usually they're either Pure Fire or Fire Flying, or Fire Fighting's a common one in the last couple gens. You know, they're all the same, but Fire Psychic is a pretty unique type. I know Victini has the type. I believe Delphox might be the only other one. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because I probably am. But yeah, it's also decent in battle because it's a fully evolved starter. So I don't hate Delphox by any means. I do hate Braixen a little bit, but I don't hate Delphox that much. Now let's move on to the good tier, which is the biggest tier in this video, but still isn't that much because there's less than 100 Pokemon in this gen. Basically, I'm going to breeze over this like I usually do. Most of them are cute first stage Pokemon. Off the top of my head, I could think of Phantump, Tyrunt. I believe the Dene's in here too. Those are all just cute first stage Pokemon that I like. but I'm not going to go out of way and say they're my favorites by any means. And then there's also just, like, the cool Pokemon that I'm like, yeah, these guys are cool, but I don't love them. That's, like, Gourgeist or Noivern or stuff like that. There are a couple of controversial ones. Like, usually when you hear people talk about Pokemon they don't like in Gen 6, it's, like, Braixen and Delphox. Then they also don't like Quilladin and Aromatisse. Slurpuff's on there, too, but that's much less of a common Pokemon to hate. Like, I love Slurpuff, personally. Well, love's a strong word, but you know what I mean. But as for Aromatisse and Quilladin, Quilladin's here because I like the grass starters. I like grass types, what can I say? I think it's kind of, it's endearing. I'm not going to say cute, but it's endearing in a way. And Aromatisse, I can't really explain my thought process behind it, but I just, like, didn't. When I was doing the tier list, I kind of, like, put it in the good tier without really thinking much about it. And I went to revise it before I did this video, and I was like, yeah, I still think it's good. So, I don't know. Something in my brain's like, you like Aromatisse, and I honestly can't tell you why. And then there's also, obviously, the legends to go over. Diancie's pretty alright. I don't know why it's in the good tier, to be honest. If I did it again, I'd probably put it in neutral. But what can you do? And then Zygarde and Volcanion are just really cool Pokemon. Very hot in Volcanion's case. And yes, I hate myself for making that joke, too. Now, let's move on to the Great tier. And it just hit me how short this video is going to be. So, I hope you enjoy, like, the 10 minutes of it that you're getting. But the Great tier is where I'll go more in depth about Pokemon as I usually do. As these are the Pokemon, both in the Great tier and the best tier, that are, like, my faves. Great tier is usually, like, I really like to love you, but you're not, like, my all-time fave, so you get to go in the Great tier. 2, oh, that's cute, he can go in Great tier. And we're going to start with the starters in this tier. Obviously, we have Froakie and Chespin. Cute first stages that are not Fennekin. Sorry, Fennekin's kind of not super cute. I think I put it in good tier. I like Fennekin, but it's not as cute or strong or cool as Froakie and Chespin. Just facts, I'm sorry. Fire types really got shafted this gen. We have like 2 of them, and Pyroar's cool, but Braixen really isn't. But enough crapping on Braixen. Back to the starters. Already talked about Chespin and Froakie. This is a mess already. Greninja and Chestnut, I think, is here too. I love Chestnut. Grass type, of course. I believe I put it below. Yeah, I put it below Greninja and Froakie. I have a little picture of it pulled up here. I don't know why I like Chestnut more than Greninja, but apparently both me and Revised Me thought it went below Greninja, so that's what you're getting in the video. But Chestnut's cool. It's a cool grass starter. They basically gave the fighting type from the fire types and was like, fine, you don't want any more fire fighting types? Have a grass fighting type that's 4 times weak to flying. We're like, that's not exactly what we wanted. And Greninja's, Greninja. It's milked to death, but I think it's really cool. So they did something right with Greninja. Also, as I was talking about earlier, there's the cute baby Pokemon. There's Goomy, and there's Inkay, who I actually think is a really nice design and concept, but I'll get more into that with Malamar later. We have the box art legendaries, Yveltal and Xerneas, who are both awesome and very well designed. I do slightly prefer Yveltal. So obviously I got Pokemon Y, and sorry Xerneas fans, but giant death stake bird's cooler than Magic Deer. Although I do like Magic Deer, so I get if you like Magic Deer. I don't know what I'm talking about. Please help me. Oh, I forgot how to read. This is going so poorly. Basically I have this pulled up on my computer because I did it in study hall today because I had nothing else to do. I was like, I'll write the script for this video. And so it's on the computer. I went to print it, and my printer's out of ink, and it makes me very sad as I'm now reading off the screen, which my eyesight is awful, so it is very hard for me to read it, but side ran over. We have the Pokemon that I think are very cool, whether it's on, like, battle power, cool design overall, like Helioptile, Pyroar, as I mentioned earlier. Shame about that typing. And then Trevenant. Weird thing about this gen, not quite sure why they decided to do 2 grass ghost types, not only in the same gem, but right next to each other in the Pokedex. I don't know, it's just a little weird. Also, Trevenant's better than Gourgeist, but I'm pretty sure most people agree with that anyway. We have Aurorus and Tyrantrum. Really surprisingly did well with the fossils. This is definitely my favorite gen of fossils. The only one that even comes close is probably Gen 3. Gen 1, I want to say is good. Oh, I hit a cup with my foot. Gen 1 I want to say is good, but I don't care that much for Kabutops. Or Omastar, I just like the first stages. So it kind of loses me there. But yeah, really good with the fossils. I even like the first stages quite a bit. But Aurora's majestic. Tyranium's really cool. I used it on my playthrough of Pokemon Y. Yeah, great. And then there's Goodron Aegislash. You know, Pseudo-Legendary is cool. He's also precious. The only precious Pseudo-Legendary. The rest of them are kind of terrifying. Although Metagross, love you Metagross, but you are very terrifying. And then Aegislash. Aegislash is like the popular Gen 6 Pokemon, and honestly, I can't agree. It's really cool. And then lastly, I think we have Sylveon. Did I already talk about Sylveon? I don't know if I already talked about Sylveon, but it's just a great evolution, and there's not much else to say to that. I guess now I'm really milking this video over 10 minutes, and I did it. 10 minutes, 50 seconds. You're welcome for the longer than 10-minute video. We're going to go into the best of the best here, which has a whole 2 Pokemon in it. I even put a little gasping face on my script, so you're welcome. And for the first time ever, there are actually no starter-type Pokemon in the best of the best here. And I actually put 2 shocked faces for this one, so I guess you're really welcome. Sorry, I hiccuped in my mouth. If any of you've ever done that, like I just did there, you know how weird it is when you're talking. Yeah, let me find my place in the script. This video is such a mess. I am so sorry. I really should re-record this, but I'm honestly way too lazy and way too tired. But we have Malamar, who I just love the concept of. The whole evil squid thing's fun, you know, in every piece of media, there's gotta be an evil squid. That's just like a rule. And it's also, I put fun. That is not the word I would use to describe this. It is pure evil from what we've seen in the anime. Like, I remember watching the XY anime when I was like, whatever I was in 2013, math is hard. They were very, very evil and not fun. So I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that. The episodes they were in were always my favorite. So, you know, I guess that's what I meant by fun. Also, in the games, I should mention, battling with them with like the Contrary ability. Contrary is just a great ability overall. And then they also have moves like Superpower, which obviously raises their attack and defense, as well as Topsy-Turvy, which is a very interesting and not talked about move that I think could actually be really well used if used correctly. Just make them really fun to use. In Ultra Moon, I also used a Malamar, and I remember battling my friend with it a bunch of times and always beating her. So that's just because I'm amazing, though. But yeah, power of Superpower and Contrary, fantastic ability. Dark Psychic, a cool typing. Apparently it's awful and competitive, but I think it's a cool typing. I believe these are the only Pokemon to have them so far. And then we have, that's it for Malamar. So now let's move on to my favorite Gen 6 Pokemon in Talonflame. And Talonflame is definitely the best regional bird, not even close. Corviknight would be my second pick, and the reason why is because they are the only 2 to not be normal flying. I hate the fact that all of the regional birds before this had to be normal flying. And yes, Fletchinder, no, Fletchling is normal flying, and then it becomes fire flying. Should have done what Rookity did, just been normal flying. I don't see why you need to be, sorry. What Rookity did and be flying monotype instead of being normal flying. But I don't really know. And then I also used my Talonflame Burb, creative name I know, in Pokemon Y. And I was the MVP, flew me everywhere, hatched my eggs. I have one in Pokemon Moon, which I'm playing right now, replaying I should say, that hatches my eggs. And I think that it was really good in battle too, in its prime when it had like Gale Wings and Flying type speed moves. I'm not sure what you would call that. Flying type priority, that's the one. I'm too tired for this, guys, I'm sorry. But I believe we're done. Did we do it? I don't have anything written on the script. I think we did it. This train wreck of a video can finally be over and I can move on to my favorite generation next. And yes, Gen 7 is my favorite generation. Not in terms of Pokemon, but in terms of the games. But I'm going to wrap things down here. Thank you all very much for watching. I'm going to try and edit this immediately, get it out, and not have to worry about it. But as for you, none of your concern. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you all in October for Gen 7 and Alolan forms. Yes, I'm doing them together. Take care.